Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach podcast. My name is Mark Burik, and I am here with Brandon Joyner, who is fresh off of the Huntington Beach event, coaching his pro teams. And so we're going to get a full rundown on what that tournament experience was like with the new format, with single elimination, with teams that are shockingly not qualified for the rest of the season in the AVP league, and some insights into how it went. But before we get started on that, I do want to share a couple of camp dates and show you our sweet new merch store. So, as you guys know, we have, or maybe you don't know, we have our Punta Cana camp coming up in November. So right after Thanksgiving, we're going to Punta Cana, an all-inclusive resort for 7 days of volleyball. You can sign up for that at betteratbeach.com/camps. Beyond that, we have Santa Monica, May 16th, St. Pete, May 23rd, Long Island, May 30th. San Diego and Tacoma are sold out. Sorry, guys. June 20th, we have Virginia Beach. Brandon's going home. And June 27th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. July 18th, Des Moines, Iowa. July 25th, Bend, Oregon. August 1st, Santa Rosa, California. August 22nd, Chicago. Finally, we get a camp in Chicago. People have been asking for that for years. And then we're going to Youngsville, Louisiana, October 3rd, and more camps are on the way, along with our weekend clinics out here in Santa Monica, our kids classes in Redondo Beach, and our King and Queens leagues and regular classes here in Hermosa Beach. But I also want to show you guys our merch store. If you guys head to betteratbeach.com/merch, we have been working hard in the background, and we have upgraded our shops, so you can check out a few things there. Now it's a little sorted, but we also have an AVP Wilson discount. So if you guys want to buy a new ball, you can head to our coupon code by clicking on betteratbeach.com/merch and then heading to the Wilson shop. If you want water bottles, bags, flip-flops, new stickers, and all of the good Better at Beach gear, you can buy that at betteratbeach.com/merch. We also have slunks, upcoming jerseys, and pretty sweet hats and visors. Just head to betteratbeach.com/merch. Help us out, support the show, and look cool while doing it. All right. So, Brandon, you coached. You got Logan and Hagen. They got a third place. What I didn't even realize, I saw a couple people got knocked out, and I totally forgot that this new Heritage Event series is single elimination. Wow.
Yeah.
But it was to 21, right? So it's not 15 like in the qualifier. So it's still fast, but it's not super fast. What was a single elim like at that level?
Yeah, it was, honestly, like looking back on it, I didn't really think about it too much. Obviously, it's a tough format. Have to show up right away. I think a lot of teams, you don't realize how much they grind through that like losers bracket and still have a phenomenal finish. And so that didn't happen at all. It also some downsides. One, qualifier teams were in trouble. Like you spend all day Friday trying to qualify, and then you show up in a single elimination tournament playing against the top 4 teams in the country. Like that's where it is a little weird, because sometimes those qualifier teams, if they are going to make a jump in the standings, they need to do it against the 8 through 12 seeds.
Yeah.
And so usually those matchups happen on the loser side of the bracket, and that's where we can see some big point changes. But yeah, you had to show up right away. Teams were extremely fresh. So like when you watch the finals, I mean, Andy and Miles, hats off to them. They looked like they were on 100% after the tournament. Like they did not look fatigued at all. Logan and Hagen played them in the semis, so got a third. The team walked away with a third place, which
Yeah, baby.
ties their other best when they were working with you. So pretty cool to kind of have that little storyline of the two better beach coaches have each gotten a third, which is really fun. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, Miles and Andy, they are just unreal. They are
Is it
in
their
system.
defense? Is it their side out? Like, why were they so dominant? Were they getting more blocks per game? We could pull up the stats in the back, but were they
Yeah,
getting more
I
blocks
mean,
per game?
and
Was it just cleaner side out?
Andy was a cheat code. As far as their scoring, their ability to score, Andy, I think every game probably generated close to 8 points on
Whoa.
his serve. He like not only was he serving hard, but like I think in the semis against us and in the finals, I can count at least four clean aces, like where people aren't even moving. Um, the ball was just getting to the ground fast. When he's hitting that Wilson ball, he has complete control and he can tag sidelines. He can put the ball at really really quick pace. And then he was also able to add a decent amount of blocks per set as well. Um,
Mhm.
Miles did his thing. Like that's a tricky part with that team is you're seeing Andy from the service line, and then anytime Miles gets a dig, he's getting a perfect set. They're always in system. Like I don't think I saw them attack a ball from off more than 10 feet off the net the entire tournament.
I'm seeing
Um,
this on the AVP site that Benesh in the finals, so this is two sets. He had 6 blocks and
mhm.
4 aces in 2 sets, and it was 21-14, 21-14. That's not even enough points to get that many blocks. And if you guys don't know stats at home, if
Yeah.
you're anywhere above 2 blocks per set at the AVP or World Tour level, you are a candidate if you average that for best blocker of the year. Like Andy Mole, Phil Dahlhauser in his prime, they were getting like 2.1 to 2.3 blocks per set, and that's godly. And he
Mhm.
gets 6 in a finals in 21-14,
Yeah.
21-14 against the other Olympic
Yeah.
team.
Right. And I think their closest match of the weekend was 21-18. And I think it was actually against Frischman and Amato, the one of the qualifying teams. And like, I mean, with us, I think our scores were like 12 and 11, and we honestly didn't. It's hard. It's weird to say when the scores, but like we didn't play bad. They just played really, really good. Obviously, you want to do a little bit better, but yeah. Um, But yeah, and one of the coolest things about this event was even though it was single elimination, um, there was so much on the line
Yeah.
with the two spots being open for the qualifiers or for the league.
So this
And
was what I was talking about when Logan and Hagen won that qualifier in one day. That one tournament, or you could like if you're in the finals when they did qualify for the league, that one match is dollar for dollar the most valuable volleyball match in the world because it equals
mhm,
a base of $40,000 for 8 tournaments. That's a year's salary in
right,
one little point. Like there's no other point that is worth that much money in beach volleyball. Wild.
hmm yeah,
And this one had similar implications for the
and
qual
this
for the
one
league.
had two extra spots, and with it being single elimination, there was and Mark Sherman, the announcer, he put up like a thing on his story that said like what finishes beat what finishes, because in order for you to qualify, one of your finishes had to come from the Huntington Heritage event this past weekend. And so people like Sean and Brian, who got second in both of the qualifiers down in Newland, even though they had a second place in both of those events, they could only use one of those. And
Oh,
their other finish had to come from Huntington
wow.
this past weekend. So everything was really up in the air. And I mean, on the men's side, Brian, and it was kind of I think it was like a four-way race, maybe even a five-way race between Sean and Brian were trying to get in. Um, Avery and Wyatt, those were like the top two who eventually ended up qualifying, but they other teams that were kind of on the outside looking in, if they had good finishes, were Troy and Theo, um,
Phil
Ryan
and
Wilcox and Cody Caldwell.
Phil and Trevor
Phil and
automatically
Trevor
in.
are already
Yeah,
in,
wow.
yeah, because they got a wild card. Yeah, and then I believe Alvaro and Alison, they needed to do really well in the event. I think they needed to make a finals, but they were playing really well. And so there was so much riding on this game. And so the first games of the day, and I think Tim and Paul were also in the running. Um,
Mm.
so after the first round, everybody's already talking about a lot of this stuff because Logan and Hagen, they played Paul and Tim. We were lucky enough to win that one. So Paul and Tim got knocked out. Then the other matches were like pretty big. Like Allison and Alvaro, they upset Cam and James. So now they're moving on to the next round. And Cam and James had already locked up a spot in the last round, in the last qualifier, because they won it. So they're already into the qualifier. They're already into the league. So now Allison and Alvaro are still alive. And then there were two matches going against one another that were like big deciders. So Avery and Wyatt are playing against Cody and Ryan. Goes to three. Avery and Wyatt end up winning. So now Cody and Ryan are out. On Stadium Court, Theo and Troy, who have not secured a spot, are playing against Sean and Brian. And goes to three. Theo and Troy end up winning in three. So now pretty much with that win, Avery and Wyatt kind of secured their spot, and Sean and Brian are kind of just waiting to see what happens. So what happens is, so Troy and Theo, who are still alive, they move on to the next round and they have to play Chase and Miles. And if they win this game, they make the league. If they lose the game, Brian and Sean make the league. And so I think this was like the biggest match of the weekend, probably, in my opinion, because we just talked about it, how dollar for dollar, point for point, like the biggest game of these guys' lives. And Sean and Brian had to watch.
They had to watch the most valuable volleyball game.
They had to watch the most valuable volleyball game of their careers. Like we happened to finish. We were playing Alvaro and Allison. Had a really exciting 3-set win against them with Logan and Hagen. And then I walk over and I happen to like walk right up to Sean, and I'm standing next to him, and I'm like, dumb question here, but like, if they lose, you're in the league, right? And he's like, yes, like in his own way. If you haven't talked to Sean before, Sean is like one of the most sarcastic individuals I've ever met in my life, and he is extremely funny. But so that match against Troy and Theo, and Chase and Miles ends up going 3. And Sean and Brian and their coach Stafford Slick, who was around for the weekend, um, are like standing on the outskirts. Sean has to walk away. Like he walks to the other side of the pier. He's like nowhere to be seen. And Chase and Miles, or sorry, Theo and Troy are like up in the third set. And he's like, I can't be near this. All of a sudden, Chase and Miles start coming back. Brian is screaming the loudest I've ever heard him on every single point that Chase and Miles score. And eventually, Chase and Miles end up taking it down, knocking Troy and Theo out. Brian runs over, tackles Sean on the sand. So they end up getting in the league. Extremely comical, just because I know those guys, or we know those guys. But like, I think in the end, on the men's side, the teams that should have qualified. There was a lot of drama based on the finishes. Another team that was in the running, and I think they just had some unfortunate stuff. Try and Evan. People were extremely surprised last year when Try didn't get in. I think going into this season, maybe everybody in America is thinking, okay, Try and Evan, they're going to get into the league. Try gets hurt for the first qualifier, can't even play. So and Evan plays with, who did he play with? Thomas
Hurst. That's right.
Yeah. Thomas Hurst. And I think they won a match, but then they got a 5th in the second event that Try and Evan played in. So they needed to have a decent finish in this, and they got knocked out by Phil and Trevor. So like their first round game happened to be against Phil and Trevor, which
imagine your childhood friend just ripping $40,000 from your hands.
I know. Oh. Sarah, the storylines are endless. It's great. But yeah, so they don't get in. I can only imagine how upset they are. I know that they're in China, so hopefully they bounce back and are able to do something over there. But yeah, on the men's side, Avery and Wyatt, they got a 3rd in both of the qualifiers. And so they had really good results. Wyatt is a baller.
Wyatt's a baller.
So good. Wyatt is so good.
Camp, he played a shell match, and I just kept like trying to play steeper and steeper. The angles that he has access to is silly.
I think he has the best arm. I think he has the best arm on the AVP.
Oh, James Shaw.
James has a really good arm too. You're right. Both those young guys. But yeah, but Wyatt is super impressive, and Avery showed up and battled. You know, he's. Yeah. I think a cool thing about Avery qualifying is, you know, there's always going to be rumblings of people in the background of like, oh, you played with Phil, and so I think it was really cool for him to show up to the tournament playing with somebody other than Phil Dahlhauser, who's like the GOAT in our sport, and to still prove that you got it and to make it in. So hats off to those guys.
What does everybody forget that Avery has taken 3rds to 9ths for his entire career?
So his entire career.
This
exactly
5 to 8 spot. That's where he's been. This is like his standard for however many. Yeah, he's got a couple of 13s and 17s
with amazing, like with so many different partners. So
took a 9th with him in cool Huntington, like 8 years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was really cool on the men's side. Happy that those guys got in. I think it who knows what would have happened. I mean, it would have the storylines would have been crazy if Troy, Theo, Evan Try take over one of those spots and one of those teams doesn't get in.
So what does the AVP do without its mascot, aka Troy Field? I'm putting money. I'm putting money.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's still there.
Right. I think they'll pay him to still come.
I hope so. I think he is a great ambassador of the sport. You know,
He's the best mascot we have.
oh, for sure. Like I think that does hurt a little bit, you know, because I think Troy, as far as somebody who one is entertaining as hell to watch play,
Yep.
his ability to get up in the air and score is awesome. But two, he is so involved with the crowd.
Yes.
Like he's a personality that the AVP needs because a lot of the teams haven't. I mean, Sean is like extreme,
Yes.
but a lot of these guys are pretty melancholy.
Yeah.
Word of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like they're extremely good volleyball players, but like personalities on the court haven't come out yet.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I think I hope he's still at a majority of the events, even if he's emceeing or doing kind of something along those lines.
There's no way they leave him at
You know,
home. Like they need
they
him there.
can't. I wouldn't. It'd be a bad business decision.
Yeah.
And I think Theo, you know, Theo's been a household name forever,
Mhm.
and like he's made his way on the AVP, and he's extremely entertaining. But I think Theo is making his way out to coaching. I've heard that he's coaching Miles and Andy. I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but um, that's a pretty cool journey for him.
That's what I love to
Going
see. There are so many, I think, tall, big blockers. The issue with learning blocking is there are so few people that have the height to do a lot of the elite level moves. And then the large majority of them are coached by the large majority of sizes, which is like 6 foot to 6'3" retired coaches,
Mhm.
myself. Right. So it's like
Yeah, exactly.
now Theo is talking from experience with a blocker that can do the same moves that he did. And
Hmm.
man, I want to be on that. Like, we should do a round table with Mole, Phil, Theo, uh, Logan, who can make all those big guy moves. And the only problem is the the conversation there won't apply to 99.9% of
Anybody.
players, even on the AVP. Like,
Right. Yeah.
should be like,
So yeah, I think that'll be that. I see that being only successful. I know Theo is is extremely brilliant, especially with
yeah.
the sport. His IQ is up there, and so that I think that would be a cool journey for him. I don't know what his playing looks like, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like now that the league's set, do we see any partner switches? Do we see anything that switches up on the guys' side? On the women's side, where's this? So the women's side, I think, is the same way, where the teams that should have gotten in got in. Um, the teams that needed to qualify for this one. So in the first league qualifier, I believe that was Corinne and Megan that won. They're playing at a really, really high clip right now. Then the next one was our spikers,
Yeah.
Lexi Denneberg and Julia Donlin,
Yeah. Used
um,
to be
formerly
girls.
Skulls. And then the two teams that got in this weekend were Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft, who are ballers. And I was talking, it was kind of funny because Therese is amazing. I've heard that Megan is as well, but Therese, we have a coach here in Hermosa. Her name's Paige Hines, who people absolutely love. I wish she could be at practice a little bit more because she has a real job and can only coach from time to time. But Paige and Therese are really good friends, and without me even knowing, I found out that Therese was just like coming out to our practices with Paige and just like helping out. And I'm like, let me know when that happens so I can like try to give you something. Like it's
You're
so
one of the
cool.
top
So
doctors
like
in the world coaching a Tuesday.
right,
Like, people
right.
should know.
Yeah. Um, and so I try to always say hi to her, and she's a very sweet girl. And I like talked to her at the beginning. I'm like, so are you in, or like, do you need to have a solid finish? And she's like, oh, we need to show up. And I was like, all right, we'll show up. And they showed up. They ended up making the finals. I guess you would call it an upset. They upset Brandy and Melissa in the semis and looked good. Like Therese and Megan, they're another team. Megan is like, she is physical. Like I think she was. I don't really know a whole lot about her history, but I believe she was like one of the best blockers in. I think she played at USC.
Mm.
Um, but when she was in college, she was a blocker and like absolutely crushed. And then came out to the beach, switched to defense, and she is impressive. Like she is not only moving around the court really well, but like anytime she gets a ball up, she is crushing and like she can bring some heat. And so Teresa's serve was like pretty deadly. Um, Clearing the net. Like I've always said, one of my biggest nightmares I could ever have would be passing a woman's float serve like in front of a crowd. Like this ball would embarrass me. I want nothing to do with it, and in the semis alone, I don't think Brandy and Melissa wanted anything to do with it either.
It's
Um,
wild. Like I was telling you, I played that drill where I served full time against Chloe and Marine
mhm,
uh, Kinna, and I could not get them out of system. The passing quality at that level is unbelievable. Like everything I threw at them, you figure short serves on a women's net should be like lethal, but the passing on the women's side
yeah.
is just it's lights out. So it's crazy
Hmm.
that somebody can make serving a weapon with how high level the passing is across the board. But it also shows how important dedicated serve practice is and making your serve a weapon with different flight paths and serving space, which most people just choose one person and they serve them instead of serving
Hmm.
space and then serving different trajectories and how far it crosses the net, etc. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so really cool to see them show up. And then Kelly Chang and Molly Shaw. They had I think they were the other semi team that played against. I think they've had Taryn uh, Brasher. Is I believe her new name.
yep, Rasher. Yep.
And Kristen Nuss.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen and Taryn, once again, they're just impressive. They
15,
they
17.
yeah, they
God.
had quite a battle. Um, but yeah, once again, I love shouting out Molly. Um, I think that she, for the last couple years, the people that she's bounced around between showed up and gotten medals.
Mm-hmm.
And now she got a chance to play with Kelly. Um, Really cool to see that she's now getting like super rewarded and gets to be in the league. So I think that that's a pretty cool little journey.
Just I want to take a little side venture into like Kelly Kelly Hughes has Sarah Hughes, sorry.
Sarah Hughes, yeah.
Man, for what a rock star she is, has just ran into strings
Hmm.
of awful luck, injuries. Um, she's like on paper
Partner
and from the
switches
start
that
of her
didn't work
career,
out.
yeah, you go, this is the person who is going to be repping us for the next 10, 15 years. And then, okay, then the rest of the college crop just came along, NCAA showing its mettle.
Hmm.
When girls are qualifying for AVP at 19, 20 years old, it's like, okay, at a lot of NCAA schools, you're already at or above the current AVP level. And
Yeah.
then Savvy didn't qualify either. So like
Hmm.
her and Evan having a sad household where it's two athletes
Having a
that
tough year, yeah.
having a tough year and to not get all
Hmm.
those AVP league attention and tournaments and stuff, but they'll see their way through it. But for Sarah Hughes, it's just, man, rough patch of 4 or 5 years just to say that, because it is a rough patch. It's not like she's underperforming. It's just she's had bad luck with injuries and getting knocked out in bad situations. So tough.
Yeah, I think on Saturday I talked to Evan a little bit, and he was and I saw Savvy walking around, and I understand it. I think it's for the second year in a row they were like the outside looking in, and I've said this, I've used this at practice a couple times with Logan and Hagen, where we might get down or something like that, and I always tell them, like, stay the course, because like this game has a really, really weird way of correcting itself, where somebody has a side switch and it's 7-0, and then all of a sudden by the middle of the game it's still it's 15-13. And so I've reminded Logan and Hagen a lot, like, hey, like, stay the course, don't get down, don't get frustrated, like, just practice what we have been practicing, and the game will correct itself. It might not be this exact set or this exact game, but like it's going to correct itself. For them, they've seen it. They went through an extremely tough point. They kept their heads down. They kept training. And then all of a sudden this year, when kind of unexpectedly, the game corrects itself. They qualify for that first league spot. And so I hope for those two. I mean, they're extremely hard workers. They're extremely great volleyball players. And I think good things happen to good people. Good things happen to people who work hard. Work hard, be nice. And I have no doubt that their time's coming. So thinking of them, though, it's a tough situation to be in. But yeah, so first tournament down of the year. And you brought this up. It's kind of funny. I was talking to, on Sunday, I enjoyed myself a little bit and hung out at the AVP and had a couple drinks, and I was
pictures
I was
of you
talking I was talking to Taylor, and I was really just asking about his coaching experience and stuff like that. And at one point we brought up I was like, I was like, yeah, you can do this. Like, you can take off some time and go coach for an off season. Your partner's playing overseas, and then come back and still be one of the best players on the men's side. I was like, if we had boys NCAA, neither of us would be playing. Like, we would have been pushed out a while ago. And we're like kind of laughing about that. And it's crazy, because on the women's side alone, from top to bottom, the level is unbelievable. Like, we're even talking about, like, one of the girls that's coached for us, Camilla, she's like kind of restarting her beach volleyball journey, and she's going over these futures events and medaling. And then, like, losing in the second round of the qualifier. Her and Sam, like, they're a good team. And like, it's just crazy that the level of play, I mean, on the men's side as well, but the women's, it's just, the age gap is just so much younger. Where you're seeing these girls that are coming out of college and are competing right away. It's extremely impressive. You guys better count your blessings, because we're lucky that we only have to worry about the Bazies and the Hursts and the Queckles and like these young guys that we already know because they've been playing in qualifiers since they're 16. But we're lucky there's not an entire field of them like on the women's side.
There's one player in the league, two players under 30. Is Andy 30 yet? Andy Benesh? He's what, 28, 29?
He's getting close.
Miles
with danger.
And Shaw is late 20s, right? So when you look at those ages, Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is over 30. It's such a weird sport. You know,
It's very odd.
what other sport is everybody's prime, like early 30s? Golf? That's
Yeah,
it. When you
maybe.
turn 30 in tennis, people are like, you're starting to get out of there. When indoor, once you're like past
Right.
30,
Oh
it's
yeah.
starting to struggle because of the pounding on your body. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, not too many 30-plus-year-olds in other sports, and ours is dominated on the men's side. But then you have all those women, and it's 30 and under for the large majority. A couple of like early 30-year-olds, but that's it.
But I mean, it's all the programming. I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, on the women's side, it's obvious. All these, all these girls that are coming out to the beach, competing the second they graduate. Um,
Usually
they're
before.
they're yeah they're playing on teams with amazing systems, amazing coaches
Mhm.
that are being put through repetition after repetition. They have a lot of really good competition. On the men's side, there's nothing. We have USA that is,
Scattered at best.
and it's extremely scattered, and I don't really know what the organization is there, but I don't really know. It's not obvious to me who's in it.
Mhm.
Like I don't really know on the men's side who they've chosen. If
There's a
I
group of them
don't,
that train next to Hermosa Pier. They do it either once or twice a week, and it is those guys who are like pushing the qualifier level. Like Thomas,
yeah,
I consider this new crop like Thomas Hurst, his crew. I forget who this new young kid is. He's like 6'9", and everybody's talking Bradford.
oh yeah,
Uh,
Derek Bradford,
haven't seen him
he's
play, but
good.
I think he's in that squad. So
Okay,
they're
good.
there
Maybe
and
good.
getting reps, but it's not, you didn't see like, yeah, you just don't have the sheer numbers that you have coming from NCAA to train
Hmm.
every day, 2 hours a day, then go to the weight room, then go to film and do all that. Don't have that on the men's side.
Right. And it's
And
just
people
weird that, I
forget.
mean, we start to, now is when you question, like, should it be in Hermosa Beach, or like, it's so expensive to live here. It's so hard. Like, I mean, I think Florida is starting to still show up in tournaments. I mean, you're starting to see like that whole Colorado crew of the Baseys, Ian Carlson. Um, they're phenomenal, and they've done it.
They're like this generation's Baumgrens. It's like, who are
Yeah,
you playing against? You play against the same four people year in and year
yeah,
out, and you show up and just wreck people. It's like, yes, it's
dude, and
possible if you show up and practice
they're good.
every day. They're good. They're real good. Yeah,
Hmm.
they took me out. Lost them in the finals in um, what's the one in Vale? Is it in Vale? The Motherlode.
Motherload, yeah,
Yeah, my
and
first
that's when
time
they
ever
were,
there.
and that's when they were 17.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eons ago.
But yeah,
Um,
exciting start to the season. And now I think they're announcing the team, like the league locations this week.
okay.
We already have the locations, but I think the teams are getting placed like
Oh,
in
for
their
what team's going to
specific
be there?
home.
What
So
city?
that'll be exciting. Hopefully, I can make it to a couple. I think that's kind of the plan, is to kind of travel with Logan and Hagen and get to experience some of these league stops.
Nice.
Um, I've heard of some cool ones. I know they're planning on doing one. I don't think I can share too much. Not that I know too much, but um, the one that I know that I'll share with you that I think is exciting is they're doing one in Central Park at night with lights. And
Sick.
so I think that will be like, I think that'll be really cool. And so
Nice. It's got to be
um,
fall or spring, huh?
I think it's all summer. It's
Oh.
yeah. I think I
Oh,
have
so
it.
they're not doing it across the winter like they used to. All right. That was a
No, they. That's why I think there are limited. limited spots for tournaments this summer because they have the first league match is May 23rd.
Oh wow, I'm getting
And
busy.
Palm Beach, then San Diego, Miami, East Hampton, New York, going to the Hamptons.
All right.
That'll be a sellout. Um,
I don't know.
Los
If I know my
Angeles.
New York crowd, it'll be tough for them to get out to East
I
Long
was
Island.
I was being sarcastic.
Thanks. Like in Central
um,
Park, you've got 9 million
Central
people.
Park will be cool. Like that one would be a big one. Austin, going back there, and they look like they're at cool spots. They're all like little venues.
Great.
Dallas, yeah, and then finishing with Chicago. But yeah,
Nice.
should be interesting. Hopefully, I'll have some next week. I'll have some more news on what the league looks like and everything like that. But
Cool. I did want to say, I was starting to get into like how important film work is, and especially with these single eliminations, knowing where you want to be, knowing where the other team is, and that uh, the amount of film that I did in my career and the film that we're still doing at the highest level. Like, if you guys are not recording, if you're listening to a podcast called Better at Beach Volleyball, you're obviously at this point in the episode, you should be hooked. And if you're not watching yourself on video, please start recording from the back middle of your court and just take a look at your game. We've got a number of my video analysis on YouTube. You can look them up, or you could go to betteratbeach.com/film session. We've collected 6 of them right there, betteratbeach.com/film session. You can see 6 really in-depth video analysis sessions for exactly what you need to talk about, where you need to position yourself when the ball's getting touched at every different moment. And that was a huge change in my career. It is a monster change for everybody who is at the highest level. So if you're out there playing, attempting to get better, and you're not filming yourself and watching it, go do it. And then if you want us to walk you through point by point, step by step, and show you how, you can check out betteratbeach.com/film session. But if you want to go it on your own, we've got all the tools out there for you. So you can just compare those video analysis to your own. And I just want to, just before we head out, what do you think that the good teams this weekend did better than the rest? What
I
were the
could break it down to 3 things. Aggressive serving. The time for lollipops is over. Like, if you're as a team, I think this goes for anybody, but maybe at a specific level. But anybody who played in the qualifier, anybody who played in the main draw, if you're serving balls consistently and not making the other team take a minimum of 2 steps or a laydown, you're not winning that game. Aggressive serving. It can look short, it can look deep, it can look aggressive. Hagen was on fire this weekend with his like little hybrid serve. Logan did a great job of placement. Aggressive serving. 2, trusting your attack. Like going into a swing and having an A and a B option, but trusting your A as long as you can. Like you need to look at the defense. You need to pick up on vision. You need to understand what's open. But once you figure out what's open, you have to 100% commit to it. You have to go for it. Anytime you pull something down or you have a little hitch, it's not scoring. It's either getting thrown back at you faster than you hit it, or a defender is walking to the ball.
Yeah. It's funny because vision, like holding vision gets you, if you have ball control and good vision, it gets you well beyond AA. Like you crush AA, probably locally, you're crushing your open tournaments. But then what got you there, like that vision and decision to execute, has to happen so quick. It's no longer a hang, wait for a defense to cheat somewhere and then shoot to the other side. It's got to be jump and hit. It's such a fine but crucial difference in winning all the way from B to low level open tournaments. And then as soon as you start hitting that qualifier pace or that pro pace, it's like you can't hold the vision that long anymore. You need to look and execute in one half of a sentence that's
right.
accelerated. And number 3?
And number 3 is being willing to take. This is a defensive one, but being willing to put the offense into situations where they might score easily in order to find out tendencies.
Ooh.
You know, I think what we did pretty well against Paul and Tim, and what we did well against Alvaro and Alison, is eventually we got to a point where we had tendencies down. I think we probably could have gotten there a little bit quicker and maybe finished both of those sets in 2. But against Andy and Miles, at no point, and it's hard against a team that's operating as high as they are, but at no point did we, and this is something that I wrote down on my like individual coach notes, was like, you have to encourage the defense to figure out answers. And a lot of times what those answers are is like, what happens if we double up in the angle? Are they finding an easy shot to the line? What happens if we run a 4 and come back and stay in the angle? Like are there specific shots that if we leave it open, do they hit it, or are they just swinging blind? Like, and at no point did we have any of those answers against Miles and Andy. And I don't know if it changes the outcome of the game, but we might have at least closed the gap a little bit on points, and we might have at least made them think a little bit more on offense. Whether or not we could have transitioned and scored, that's not it. But like, you have to be willing to take chances and to overwhelm the thinker on offense. And if people can just go up blind and swing, you're not doing anything.
It's
So
funny.
those would be my 3.
You have to get to some point in your career where you're okay blocking cross and defending cross for 1 or 2 points, blocking line and defending line. Like, the idea of I have to fill the opposite space that my blocker took, like, that's your base. That's your 7, 8 out of 10. But you also need to figure out the different setups and say, like, because offense, especially lookers, they're looking at either blocker or defender, or they're just going with what they feel best in that moment. And job as a defender is to figure that out. And sometimes you got to double up just to figure that out. So a creative defense is interesting. And then, even on the women's side, I'm seeing some colleges really start utilizing like the cross peel to defend the cut shots and then dig with the hands a lot. So there's becoming a lot more creativity on the women's side as well, where they're running unique defensive setups, which is pretty exciting, I think, for the future of the sport.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. Optioning is also huge, just for the sake of setting up an offense. But yeah, I love the skill that women have to pull and play defense is really cool. And I think you and I, like, being undersized blockers, we like had to play around with that skill because we weren't big enough to like take over at the net. And so like we would throw in, there's one video of me last year in the Huntington AVP where like it's when Alvaro and Caleb knocked me out. In the last point, I'm like, I squat and I drop, and Alvaro crushes this ball. And there's people in the comments that are like, what is this blocker doing? Like, is that really the guy from Better at Beach? And I'm like, it's kind of funny because, like, yeah, in the highlight, it looks like I'm an idiot, but I cannot tell you how many times I have won such silly, easy points from doing that exact same move.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's another answer that we're talking about. It's like, put people in this situation. Like, was it the right time for me to do it? Maybe not. But was it worth trying? Yeah, because if I get an easy point there and possibly, like, if I win that point, the comments are way different. So yeah, but defenses, you have to be willing to feel a little bit uncomfortable in order to like really figure out an answer. Because the thing is like once you find the answer, I love having this conversation. It could be its own podcast. But once you find the answer, winning is easy. Like I've had this conversation in depth with Allie Denny, who coaches with us, and it's just crazy because sometimes the answer is as easy as they listen to the call from their setter. And it's like if you find out something like that, the rest of the game, you have such a big tool in the back pocket because now you can start messing with them on defense to make them do things that you want. And if you start being the puppet master on defense, then it just gets fun.
People who grew up or did a habit of like trapping animals and figuring out where they show up, what they want, what type of food, what the food needs to look like, like fishermen and trappers. If you
Mm-hmm.
bring that mentality, what
Yeah.
does this thing want? What looks attractive to this person? And then what do they do? Then you've got it. I'm rereading Pathfinder, which is a fantastic book by Orson Scott Card, by the way. It's very similar to Ender's Game. If you haven't read it, it's
Hey,
it's
big Ender's Game fan over here.
okay. So we're heading out, guys. We are currently working through our serving or passing and serve receive block for our online members, which means they get a challenge every week. They have to do drills and they post them to our community, and then we go in there and we coach them on the drills, and we have a weekly meeting which we are about to head into. So if you want to go through a year of beach volleyball training with us while getting coached on your film and your skills and your strategies, it is there. Just head to betteratbeach.com. We've got a new section of our homepage that allows you to basically see exactly what you want. So you could follow, if you go to betteratbeach.com, you could follow the adult player route. You could follow the juniors and parents route, which we're offering new services for them. And you could find the coaches and club directors route. But I want you to go ahead and see everything we offer because most people don't know how much we offer. And if you've liked this episode, please go ahead and comment any questions, any little discussion you guys want to have in the comment section. We love that. Go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. And if you want to do one of two things, if you run a company or own a company and you want to reach our listeners, we've got 100,000 followers on YouTube, 50,000 on our email list, another 100,000 on Instagram. So we have a big audience that is listening. So just go ahead and reach out to support at betteratbeach.com. And if you want to host a camp where we come to your home city, we have an application for that at betteratbeach.com/camps. So we can come to your town, your club, your team, or just your group of friends, and we will get a private camp going for you. So it's all there in the links around this episode, and throw us a like and a subscribe at the very least.
Yeah.
Would be appreciated.
And I want to know who you're pulling for in the league. Since this episode is coming out before the first league episode, you have your league weekend. You have your chance to show that you were a day one supporter. So in the comments, write down who you think is going to win the league, who you're pulling for. We can share it with them and let them know that they had fans on day one. But yeah, pick a team. It's going to make the league more fun. We should do like some form of like fantasy team thing or something. Figure something out. I'll talk to my smart friends.
Yeah, we'll put it on the business plan for 26.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. From me, from Brandon, from everybody at Better at Beach, we will see you on the sand.